Hello and welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans can come to congregate and fanboys free to tread. Only one will slip up on there. It's not worth a second.
And we're at least recording this time anyway. So anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
Well. What a difference a drop of water makes, huh?
Oh yes.
Yeah. I don't know actually who is well. Actually, I do. Like Martin is fucking delighted that Marquez crashed.
Oh yeah.
It was the thought in my head actually was when Mark went down, and like Jorge nearly went down as well at the same time. Now I think that was kind of like a sympathy. Do you know what I mean? When he took his eye, do you know what I mean? But when he saw Mark going down, I think Jorge was like, "Going, yes."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because
do you know how many times in every different ways he's run those numbers through his head by now?
Well, I was fucking running them through my head. Like even where we are now, right? Even if Mark did finish second, even if he did finish second, Martin could finish second in every race, and Pecco has to win it, and Martin would still win it by I think a point. Now, now someone else has to get in the way. That's where we are in the championship. Like Pecco on Saturday, I don't know. He didn't seem to have it. Like, and
no.
A funny stat that came up this week.
He needed this though for his head. And I'm not one of these people that goes into psychological mumbo jumbo too much, but he needed this for confidence because it seemed like Mark was all over him lately.
Yeah, I think I won't say he had him mentally beaten, but I think what you could see is that. And like this is a credit to Martin. Martin, even though that he had lack of confidence at times, was just fucking pushing through it. Just like, go on, you'll fucking do it. In the words of every male would love to say is fucking take it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You gotta say Pecco was doing it for, which I haven't seen him do in a long time, the same thing. When he got past, he just jumped right on him and passed again. When was the last time you seen somebody do that? Him do that.
Yeah. Now, look, going back to the sprint, like, right, Martin was lucky he didn't crash at the opening corner of the sprint. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you could see it, and he had to leave off the brakes. And I kind of secretly think he was hoping to take Pecco with them when he left off the brakes at that stage. But look, he was able to come back again, and what, like, you could just see it in Pecco is that, there's things, and like Martin is starting the mental games now with him. Like Martin, I don't know, did you see that he came out in the media and he was like, well, Pecco just copies my setups?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know totally about that. Do you know what I mean? Because they ride completely different. So like, so a Pecco or a Martin setup on a Pecco bike wouldn't necessarily work. I'd say he's copies them to try them, yes, but I don't think he races them.
Yeah, everybody does that. Yeah,
like that's part of racing. If you have, like, I'm sure they've tried some of Mark's settings, and Mark has tried their settings, and that's racing.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought overall, when Pecco was out front, Mark was hounding him, trying to pressure him into a mistake, actually. And it ended up that Mark made the mistake, it actually, and when I thought about it at first, I was like, Joe, Martin is delighted. And secondly, then though, I thought Pecco was actually delighted, more so. And I know this sounds very strange, and you're like, what the fuck? Because if Pecco finished second and Martin finished third, the gap would have actually been Pecco would have scored less points than he scored by finishing first and second. Do you know what I mean? So, but look, at the thing, realistically, it's now down to a mistake. This is where the championship is down to, which is great. It is great, and like, who is going to make that mistake? And I'm still of the opinion I still at this stage would prefer to be the hunted or the hunter rather than the hunted. And I've said this for a while now that the only time I want to be ahead in the championship is in the last race of the championship.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't you always want to be the hunter in a way?
You know what I mean? So, like realistically, and this I know this would be my opinion on it, right? I'm going into the race next week in Sepang. My mission is very, very clear. I win it or I fucking die trying.
Yep.
Winner. You know what I mean? There's not even fucking been it's like fucking send it and sure, look, if my season ends now, my season ends now. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you know, if I do come off that I get back up again. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm fucking sending it on full send, and if I don't get up or I get stretched off, that's it anyway. Sure, at least I tried.
And I think Pecco was doing that. It's nothing else. In his mind, he was really coming into the end at wit's end in that ring. Yeah. Because remember, he was never very good. We always said he was never that good in survival races. Okay, not only did he do well in the survival, he excelled in it. Okay,
he was brilliant. He was brilliant today. I would give him that. I think he was sensible. You know, he himself and Martin got together in the first lap, and you were like, oh, they're going to be fucking handlebar to handlebar. Mm-hmm. But he knew he didn't have the full grip, and he wasn't confident in the tires. And he took 2 laps, and then he pushed on. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, even with all that rush of blood to the head, you know, he was still the Pecco that we know. Yeah. It wasn't balls to the wall. Now, I will hand on my heart say Mark should have won this race today, but he crashed, you know, and it's very, very easy to crash and all of this, that, and the other.
But you can see the power difference in the bikes. You can.
Well, it's, you know, as we said last week, like that extra inch, you know, ask your missus.
Yeah.
It will make all the difference. Do you know what I mean? So going the rear right height going down, it does help. You know, but again, you know, there's electronics in there as well, which I'm sure Mark sees and he understands and whatnot. But in the wet, you don't want that fucking horsepower. You know what I mean? You just want you want that drive. So it did look like the GP24s were in much better space today. But saying that, this circuit out and out is a Ducati circuit, and the sprint yesterday completely proved that. So all 8 bikes in the top 8, you know, Ducati washout, you know, and yeah, for me, I think, look, it was good. Martin is probably going home the happier. Pecco's probably going home the more confident tonight. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Now, saying that, you know, they have 4 days off and they're back at it again. Do you know what I mean? So there's no actual break from it. And this next race is the race where I expect the fatigue to come in, you know, regardless of
in Pecco's case, being 4 days is a good thing. 4 days is not a good thing for
this is where Martin's real test is going to come in now, right? Because this is the ultimate squeaky bum time that you can ever have, right? And realistically, this is his first match point in tennis, as they say. You know, if Pecco crashes out, just say, of either race, and like realistically, Martini's just to put 20 more points than Pecco next weekend on his plate. And then that's it. He can't win. Strangely enough, right? If we were to get rid of the sprints, just say the points for sprints, Pecco would already be world champion. Do you know that?
Huh?
Pecco would already be world champion.
Yes.
So if it wasn't for the sprint races. So, you know, there's definitely the Achilles heel of Pecco is sprints. Do you know what I mean? Because it gives others the opportunity to come back at him. He's won 9.
He's the metronome.
Yeah, but it's just like he's won 9 races this season, 9 Grand Prix, which is only Lorenzo, Rossi, and Marquez club, I think.
But I'll tell you, I think Mark Marquez found something or did something. He's the fastest guy on the track. That's not kidding anybody.
They have found a base, but let's not forget this, right? When you look at Enea Bastianini, it was the later half of the season they found his base on the 21. Do you remember? He was quick. He was quick in the first couple, then he went away off, and then he came back. If you look at Fabio Di Gianantonio last year, not an old thing. He was quick. You know, I see it that they have got Mark's. They've started to understand for Mark's base setting, probably from, I'd like to say, Assen on. Really, they started to really understand how to get the best out of that bike.
I think it's Marquez himself has figured out the puzzle of the rear bias, and then it's sticking in his head. If you don't,
he's still. I would kind of,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it's so hard to do. It's hard to believe you could do that. You know?
No, because for me, when I'm looking at Mark, he's still on the front. Do you know what I mean? He's still pushing that front.
Oh yeah, he is. He's got to work. He's got the mix to work somehow.
He is definitely blended. Like he's less likely now to go back to the Honda riding style, right? And the riding style, yes, but it's the base that's there. And it's kind of like he understands what the bike is going to do. And there's now a standard. Like I would say the changes that he's done on the bike settings is minimal now. Do you know what I mean? I think he's just getting on it. And he understands the bike, but the bike has a good setting that gives him the feedback that he needs, especially from the front. And, you know, a lot of people were on last week's comments. So I invite any asshole who wants to listen to this.
Don't sugarcoat it, bud.
The 23 handles completely different to the 22. The turn-in on the 23 is the complete opposite to the way you turn in on the 22. This is why anyone that is on a 22 is majorly struggling with the 23. Now, the amount of fucking people that have said this of the riders is all but Marc Marquez. Why? Because dickheads, Mark was not on a GP 22 last year.
Right.
He was on a Honda, right? That couldn't turn, that didn't grip, that didn't have aerodynamics, that didn't have this. All of a sudden, he's got onto a good bike and a title-winning bike last year. And has found grip, has found a bike that wants to do it, and it's completely different to the Honda. Whereas the Ducati riders were set in a way of riding that now they have to really completely change. And also to note, well, in fucking 5 races time now, we're going to go back to a GP22 style front end.
Yeah, so I understand what you said. Oh,
there's a lot of people out there that don't understand it.
I stand corrected. I did see another angle that I was getting confused on the aero crash.
Mm-hmm.
I saw another picture from another angle. Yeah, he was right up his ass. And I'm thinking, because the one I saw before was like 8 feet and then crashed. I'm going, hold a second. How did he jump 8 feet? And how did he didn't take his feet? The way the picture was, I didn't see. I'm going, how he didn't take the arrow away 8 feet behind him. You know what I mean? That don't happen. You know, not with a bike. It's not a car. It's not a blunt option. You know, but when I saw it the second time, he was right up his ass and it just took it away. He was what 5 inches away. You know.
Yeah, well, look, it is look, wings cause drag, right? Otherwise, there's no point having fucking wings on their bike, right? They cause drag because the way they manipulate the air. When the air comes off the back of another bike and you go into it, that air or that front wing is not working at its optimum, right? You're either getting nothing across it or you're getting the buffeted air because they haven't reattached the air off the back of a bike yet, right? So what is happening is that any aerodynamicists will notice that when they're working on the bikes inside in the wind tunnel, the air is coming straight at the bike or at a prescribed angle. In reality, the air that comes off the back of a MotoGP bike there is vortexes generated. We've seen all of those vortexes coming off the back of the wings, and that if you have a look at the KTMs, there's the hot air from the exhaust and all of this. So that air that a bike behind you if a bike comes across you and you have full air from straight ahead air, and a bike comes across you and you go into a dirty air type of situation where the air is no longer coming straight at you, but it's kind of muffled and there's vortexes, that will take away your downforce, right? You're used to braking 50 meters from the corner because you have full aero on it. If a bike had no aero, it would be braking 75 meters before the corner, right? That's what the benefit of the aero in the braking zone, right? It keeps the bike stable.
The aero gives it less turbulence, but yeah.
So now, if you're moving 13 or 14 meters a second, and someone comes across the fucking track at you, within 2 seconds you've already missed your braking zone.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And that's what, from my view, that's what happened. He lost front aero and he went straight into him. I know other people say, no, that's not right. I don't particularly care, right? I know it myself. I've got sucked into fucking people in the middle of a go-kart race, and that's a go-kart race where there's no fucking aerodynamics. But as soon as you're slipstreaming someone or someone comes in front of you, you can't brake where you normally brake. Even if they're braking deeper than you, you just don't have the front.
If the person in front of you has the bike has no aero, it makes a bigger, more turbulence, and but yet with more turbulence, you get a bigger empty spot of dead air spot.
But you see, like the wings allow you to brake deeper than you normally would.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, the guy behind, if you don't have aero, right? You don't have the aero, you have more of a turbulence, and then you have a bigger dead air spot also. So therefore, once you get in there, that allows you to do a draft pass. When they have it on there, they can't do a draft pass. That's why they're bitching the slower bike.
Yeah. Well, look, they will have a slipstream effect, right? The bike ahead of you will open up the thing, right? But what happens is that if you're right bang up behind the bike, you're fine, right? But the minute you pull to the side and you hit that air, you're going to get the buffeting, because remember, either side of the bike, there's vortexes that you need to go through, and once you come out of the vortexes and you're on the full load of the air, you're fine. But coming through that, you will get buffeted around. So that's normal.
More if the guy in front of you doesn't have aero, because it has more. It's pushing. It's just like when they had the bicycle. You ever see when they did the bicycle? World champion record. The guy had a 4x8 board behind a truck. Mm-hmm. He sat behind it and pedaled. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. There's so much turbulence, and once you get in that air spot, right? That air spot, it's like
but what the main thing with that is that's reducing the drag, right? So the drag on a bicycle is the person's body, right? So the truck in front takes all the resistance from the air away, right? And it pushes it up and over the bike. That's fine. That's like a slipstream, realistically, is what that is. But if a bike didn't have aero, they will still get buffeted from the wind coming around the front of the fairings of the bike in front and whatnot when they come out, but they wouldn't get as much of a buffeting, because just have a look at the winglets, especially in rain and high humidity off the KTM, and you see it, like the wind is spinning, but it's spinning like that all the way down the side of the bike. So as you come out of with your bike from behind the slipstream, you're going to go through that line of air, right? It's like mini little tornadoes down the side of the bike and off the back of it, right? That's what you're going to go. You're going to go through, but you're going to go through that twice. You're going to go through that with one side of the wing and the other side of the front wing. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to get that buffeting around. But saying that, if you're using your aero to brake, which most teams are, right? Then if someone takes that air off the front of your bike and you try to brake in the same space, then you're going to hit the person in front of you. It's as simple as that, right? It's very easy to turn around and say, oh, but sure, he should have reacted to that. Hell fucking no. Like, you're talking split-second decisions here. Like, it's not like, oh, I know he's going to pass me, so I'm going to slow down. That doesn't fucking happen.
And your reflexes, people got to realize there is a finite. There's a finalism of got to get the word wrong, but of how fast a person's reflexes can be. They're not apes. Even an alien can always grab that ball so fast that out of the middle of the air.
But look, my point of view in this is that he only realized that he was in trouble the second he hit the brake, the millisecond he hit the brake, and at that stage, it's too late.
But back to the Marquez, that save was not non-save. The crash, he almost had it again. That was if he didn't hit that curb, Christ, he'd have had the greatest save in history.
Yeah, but I think I kind of thought I'm kind of delighted that he hit the curb and spun out, because with Martin coming around, there was a high chance Martin would have clung him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If he stayed with it, do you know what I mean? So, kind of glad that he did hit the curb and go off, and he kind of spun off the track, because Martin coming through the corner lost the front. Do you know what I mean? And right. if he was still sort of on his side or in the middle of the track, that would have been a meeting of the minds, Now that would have been brilliant for Pecco.
Did you see when he comes off and he crashes, and you can imagine going that fast and coming off in the rain, and he gets up and he throws his fist in the air like, God damn it! I just can't imagine not registering that you just crashed for that second. You're like, God damn it! You were going 100-some mile an hour, and you just flipped off and went.
Yeah, and then his incident with Mir after, I thought it was kind of funny. Like, it was just like, get the fuck out of the way, will you? It was like fucking Honda. You know what I mean? In my way. I suppose the other thing we need to talk about is Franco Morbidelli. Now, I could have fucking throttled him, to be fair, right? So, Fabio got a brilliant start, battling away. It's never really going to be top 4, top 5.
No.
But, Morbidelli tried to fucking maneuver then that you're like, will you for fuck's sake? Like, if one of your buddies did that now, you'd fucking slap him, like, do you know what I mean? And I kind of actually think a ride-through or a long lap penalty was a bit of a joke for punishment. You did take a fella out of the race, cleaned him out. Do you know what I mean? So a single long lap, in my view, definitely wasn't.
And I had an epiphany before the race, about a minute before the race. I said, you know what? I bet you, under the circumstance, Quartararo is going to do pretty damn well today. And didn't he do Christ, he was up in 5th and 6th there today.
Mm-hmm. Now, would he have stayed there? Probably not.
No.
I don't think he would have stayed there, if I'm honest. But, look, it was good while it lasted. I thought Acosta was a fucking boy today. Like this is one of the things. I was sitting there, right, and I was actually watching it in bed, right, and I was like, "You're some bollocks, anyway, Pedro." Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't stay on in the dry, right? And you're throwing it down the road since fucking Indonesia every fucking race, right? And here we are in fucking super tricky, wet conditions, and you're right, and you're fucking able to stay on. What the fuck? Do you know what the actual fuck, like? And I know that, okay, wet conditions, you're not riding as hard and thing, but it's lethal. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're only a slight little lock of the brakes and you're gone, You're
gone, right?
And there I am, looking at you, battling your way through past your teammates. Like, himself and Jack Miller going toe to toe was fucking brilliant. Like, it was fucking epic. Do you know what I mean? And it just kind of shows you that when Pedro gets the maturity going and finishing races consistently, he's going to be a fucking handful. Like, he's going to be that fucking dangerous individual that it's going to be super hard to beat every time, and doesn't give a shit about whether he crashes or whether he doesn't. And it's kind of like a Marc Marquez story, but it's not a Marc Marquez story in the way that, I get it, Marc came in and he blew everyone away in the championships, but nowadays in MotoGP, it's a little bit more difficult because there's 4 or 5 real aliens that are there. Right? When Mark came in, who were the aliens really? At the time, it was Lorenzo and Rossi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he blew them away, right? Pedrosa, yes, alien, but never the world champion alien. Do you know what I mean? He was there, and he was never one that could put a title run together. Like he would win the odd race here and there, where he wouldn't be winning 5 or 6 races in a row. You know, and I'd kind of hesitate to kind of say, like, was Davi an alien? He was. You know, was Morbidelli an alien? No.
I never thought that with Davi. I always thought Davi was overrated. Because remember, he was supposed to be the Iannone was supposed to be the fast guy on that track. He was supposed to Davi was supposed to be support, and then Iannone. Oh Christ, Iannone's getting the ride. By the way,
is he definitely getting it? Or I just heard he's heavily rumored, but it wasn't confirmed yet.
Yeah, because they said it was confirmed on the during the race.
Okay, so. That would be good to see Iannone back. I would have liked to see Bugliga, if I'm honest.
It's smarter to do Bugliga.
But anyway, look, it's good. Like for me, like this was a really, really good race. Like I actually enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the wet race more than the sprint race, if I'm honest, because there was such that threat of which one of them was going to make the mistake, which one of them was going to run off wide or crash or do this or that or the other. And while it didn't really happen, kind of nearly did happen. But I thought it was just fucking epic. Like, really, really enjoyed that one now. And now onto the next one was Malaysia. Malaysia last year was won. The sprint was won by Martin and the main race by Pecco. So,
is it rainy season down there?
It was always raining in the evenings there, doesn't it? After the day. What's his name? Fabio Di Antonio is going for his shoulder surgery this week, I think. So we won't see him for 3 months. It's interesting. Bastianini was just like saying, "Nah, not going to help Pecco." Do you know what I mean? I'm out for myself. And he was asked, "Yeah,
why would he?"
Yeah, well, look, the team have dumped him out and said, "We don't want you." Do you know, well, after they didn't say that we don't want you, it's showing we're taking Marc Marquez, and we don't want you. So look, it's a bit of a bummer for Pecco. I don't think Pecco wants the help anyway. Do you know what I mean? I know myself. I would not like to owe someone a championship, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like kind of.
Yeah, most likely. Martin's still favored. You got to be realistic. So that number 1 plate's going to Aprilia next year,
and he's going to wear number 1 too, 100%. 100%.
I hope that Aprilia just doesn't go. You know what? Number 1 plate, we got it. Run it for a year and then take off.
I don't think they will, because
during the FIM have not been nice to Aprilia. They've had their run-ins. They had that big run where they just said screw you and left World Superbike.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a couple of things now, right? Firstly, they're contracted in now, right? So getting out is going to cost them an absolute fortune, right?
Yeah, didn't cost Suzuki that much. They got off a lot cheaper than they're supposed to.
Yeah.
You got contracts with teeth and contracts that don't.
Yeah, okay, but look, Suzuki may not have paid Dorna financial costs, but it cost them financially on sales and this, that. They moved out. So look, being fair, I don't think Aprilia could afford actually to leave right now. Do you know what I mean?
Especially when Aprilia's sales are up.
Yeah, they are up, but look, it is. Excuse me. It is brand damaging to leave a series, and
See, when Suzuki did it, people went, "Oh my God, they're going out of business because they're broke. They don't have
but
enough money."
If Suzuki, yeah, but like for example, if Suzuki did it and turned around and said, "Look, we're going to stop MotoGP to focus on World Superbikes," wouldn't have been half as brand damaging as we're actually putting out from all of racing.
Yeah, it made them look broke as they are.
Yeah. So what I kind of mean is that Aprilia couldn't turn around and say, we're going to leave MotoGP to focus on this. So it would be the same sort of impact sales wise and all of this and questions and all of this. And saying that, talking about affording things in this, like KTM are in fucking big trouble financially. Do you know what I mean?
Not as bad as Suzuki.
Huh?
Not as bad as Suzuki, believe it or not.
No, but they're in serious fucking trouble. Like,
yeah, they're not doing great. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's
but
like 1.1.
KTM's not affiliated with Aprilia.
Hmm? No, but like talking about people that are in would be in financial trouble, like KTM. They need, like, realistically, the pressure is on big time there. Like this MotoGP thing needs to pay off. do you know what I mean? And it really needs to pay off at this moment in time, because if it doesn't, things will be questioned. If I would think, like and its senior executives have now paid the price. Senior executives in the Pure Mobility Group were fucking literally were sacked because of it. So I think there is heads rolling over not getting results, and I would think that that's going to roll over into the KTM project as well, which is never a good thing, if I'm honest. Do you know what I mean? When these things turn around and get where people are put under massive pressure to perform, and you're like, okay, I get it, but saying that, a race is a race, anything can happen. But you know yourself. Yeah. It's just not good. It was sad for Bastianini, where he finished and he crashed, and I think his right height had an issue, or he had an issue with his front right height. And this is, look, I know right heights are going to go in 2027, but we're seeing more and more of these stupid fucking right height issues at the start, which it does bring in the question, like, look at how many, I think it's like 5 or 6 in the last few races that we had where people's ride heights weren't fucking down and they didn't get a launch properly and all of this stuff. Although on ride heights, Yamaha was actually, and this shows you how far behind Yamaha are. Yamaha was retrialing the automatic rear ride height lowering device for coming out of corners that Ducati have. They're only now trying it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They were doing it this weekend. So they have the one that was so that just shows you how far behind that was. I just thought it was interesting. Rins was on about it, and he was saying that they're trying it this weekend. No, I think they've tried.
Yeah, there's somebody which one called said, and they say Honda went backwards. I'm like, how did they go backwards again?
Yeah, well, look, again, we've all said that. I can certainly remember thinking Honda was at the lowest that they were. But they've seemed to been able to go longer or lower, let's just say. There's also going to be some trouble for Alpine Stars, actually. And I wonder what is going to happen for Marc Marquez. So when Marc crashed,
what's the problem with Alpine Stars? The people they just came out with the helmet. It was a big hit.
Yeah, but do you remember in Barcelona? Was it Barcelona? 1 second now. What were we supposed to? Sorry, so it was Barcelona. Do you remember Fabio Quartararo's race suit opened?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Fabio, or after Marc's crash, Marc's suit opened, and there's pictures of Marc Marquez with his zip half down and his race suit open.
When?
Just at this race.
Oh, okay.
When he crashed. So we know that what was it? Fabio Quartararo, wasn't it? He got done for it that time.
Yeah.
So I wonder will they do something with Marc now and give him a fucking long lap or something because it was only done after the race, or will they give him a penalty? But apparently, there is an investigation into it. Alpine Stars, which is it's kind of weird.
Like I say, it's quite like it happened when I crashed. It opened up.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to. It's simple as. Those are supposed to stay as tight as fuck until the rider unzips them. But it's actually the bridge part of where the Alpine Stars logo and the zip, and it only comes down maybe to where my top is, but still technically to the regulations that is open. So it's an interesting thing now. What will happen? Will he get done for it?
He didn't do it, correct?
Doesn't matter. Fabio didn't do it either. Do you know what I mean? It happened and he got penalized. So I wonder.
He did do it one time. What the hell did he do? He zipped it up. He was zipping it up. It came loose and it kept running down. He was trying to zip it up, and that's right.
Yeah, and they did it. What else? Ducati Lenovo have won the teams championships also. So they are Lenovo teams championship. Obviously, Ducati have won the manufacturers. So it comes down to can Ducati win the Riders Championship
the Japanese title was tied up by Quartararo.
The Japanese Cup. Well, sure. Listen, that was done about 4 races ago when he had 86 points. Yeah, for fuck's sake, no one could fucking catch him. He's twice or 3 times the points of anyone else, and so thing. But actually, Zarco finished 8th today, and I know it was a bit of a survival race, but 8th is. I think the fucking people in Japan will be doing backflips.
Yeah. I think they're going to miss Taka. Remember Taka, he was always good for that kamikaze lap. No matter how bad he looked, he was always bring that one lap out winner or finish. At least they put him in the spotlight for a second.
Yeah, a positive spotlight for a second. Yeah. Let's just call it like that. It will be pretty interesting though. Next season for Honda, realistically, Martin there, Alicia Spargaro there. I am seriously questioning Joan Mir's motivations, and not in a bad way, but I think Honda has beaten him down so much now that he's not firing, and I think Luca Marini, has just become a dad and this, that, and the other, and I think very soon, crashing off a motorbike is not going to be fun for him,
I loved when they had. Do you remember when they had when they just signed him, Mir, and they had Honda's commercial was they're bringing all the parts in the boxes of the motorcycle and parts.
Mm-hmm.
Honda, and it's little. They would give him a little note, And you kept thinking in your head, Honda sent him like, please fix this piece of shit. We can't do anything with it.
Yeah. Now there is a major story going around, but I don't know, is it right or is it wrong? But I have heard. Okay, so as we know, Ducati cannot change the bike, so Martin has to get a specification the same as what the factory have. That's my understanding of that they're contracted to. Now, I've also now heard is that there is a big red button and there is a contracted point of when they can use that big red button, and that's with 2 rounds to go. Now, we were talking the other day, our last day.
Red button.
Define a big red button. It's a big red button that Ducati can bring in parts and give to one rider. So there is technically a rumor going around, but I don't know whether it's valid or whether it's not. But realistically, Ducati could turn up and run the 2025 frame that Pecco prefers next 2 races to give him an advantage. I don't think they're going to do it by any way, shape, or form, but I believe that there was something within the contract that they have an option to. Now, I just don't know whether it's right or wrong or whether it's true or not. But saying that, look, it is possible. But the question is, and this is the big question, is do you give those parts to someone else on the grid except for Martin? You can't give it to Mark because probably the mounting points won't pick up, right?
Right.
So do you give it to Bastianini?
Been pretty straight with their.
They very much so have. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't think it's going to happen, but I just thought it was funny that these things have started to pop up now. Because I do know there is a date, or I do know there is a contract in place where all were supposed to be the same, but I would also think that Ducati would reserve the right at some point that they could change things. So, for example, if they fell out with a rider or whatnot, you know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see them giving the parts to any team outside of that. So, like for me, when I'm looking at it, do they give them to VR46? Bez probably would be on his best behavior in the last 2 races.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's one of those things.
You don't know how the Pramac Ducati split went. You don't know if that went that friendly.
I don't think it did, personally.
I don't think it did either.
But I can see Ducati giving them the latest spec frame, knowing they're going to Yamaha next season.
Yeah.
With Gigi's ex right hand man at the helm of Yamaha now. So it's going to be, you know, if they give him the frame and they're giving him the feedback, he has an idea of where Ducati are going. So I don't know. Look, I thought
that they had actually said that we're not going to give Martin any new parts.
No, they have to give him the exact same parts that Pecco gets.
But I thought they had a caveat that said, no, but we're not going to give any new parts that are going to go into the 2025.
No. He's got them because like he has the same aero. He runs the actual updated aero for the rear wing or rear wheel and all that Pecco doesn't run. But one of the people actually though I must talk about, and I know I give him an awful lot of shit, but who rode great today was Maverick Vinales. I think he finished about top 6.
Yeah.
7. You know, he was at the back of the grid. So No, kudos to him for coming back through.
I wonder if Aprilia got a bunch of engineers poached.
Huh?
I wonder if Aprilia had a bunch of engineers poached. Not necessarily the management, because they hear about that, but the
smaller ones.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like it is weird that Aprilia have gone so much off the board. Like if I was Jorge Martin, I'd be incredibly worried now. You know, you would engine, and it's more so that the engine is so underpowered. You know, they've gone the wrong way. Like maybe, and look, this is something that I was talking to someone during the week, and they just said to me, "Have Aprilia just gone too far on the aerodynamics?" And it's a really, really, really good point. Do you know what I mean? Is it now that they've gone so far on the aerodynamics that, let's just say, for example, that the way they're packaging the engine, whether they're thinking about the engine and the layout of the engine, the layout of the frame, and this and that and the other, well, they've geared it all for ground effect and this and that and the other, has the bike lost its way in, okay, it is fucking lethal on one lap, right? Yeah. It is lethal on a qualifier. It is this, that, and the other, but it can't race. And is that they've gone too much into trying to build the ultimate
one lap wonder?
Yeah. You know, like, and it was a really good question that he asked me, is like, how much of the race would you expect to be behind someone? And the way that Aprilia have built that bike is that it's 0% of the time they would expect to be behind someone. Rather than, well, it's actually, in reality, it's 90% of the time they're behind someone. So that bike isn't a good overtaking bike. It's a bike that's good at running on the circuit on its own, and it can create the test lap, or a good test lap. So what he was like, turning around to me, and he's like, what they should be doing is obviously trying to maybe make the bike a little bit longer, less ground effect, and when it's testing it behind other slower bikes. So slower bike around the corner, how does that come up? How do they find settings that it doesn't wear out the tires, that it has grunt? And okay, while it doesn't fully make sense in theory, but I know what he's trying to get. He's trying to get to the point of, you know, if they can make a bike that works well when it's behind another bike rather than the bike that they have now, then that gives Martin tools to fight. Like, you don't see the Aprilia overtaking bikes massively on the straight. Like,
no.
What I was really impressed with was when Mir and Marquez were fighting, is that there was no difference in speed down the straight between the Honda and the 23. And that shows that there's nothing wrong with the Honda engine. Right. It's just the rest of it. Because it is accelerating well. It is getting off the corners, even in the wet. So look, I don't know. For Aprilia, I am really worried for Martin going there, because it's not looking like that they will have.
And they shut off they agreed to have the no engine. You could have an engine freeze. They'll be the last, I think, would have an engine freeze.
Well, they were pushing against it, but I think they got pushed into it, right? But like, realistically, the engine that they all run, except for Yamaha and Honda, from the first race in 2025, is the engine that they're going to end up on till their last race in 2026, which is a massive amount of time, if I'm honest, to spend and commit to. But anyway, look, I think this weekend coming up, I'm super excited about it, because it is fucking impossible to pick who is going to win. You look at form. Pecco won the main race. What's his name? Martin won the sprint. You know, it's squeaky bum time. I just can't wait for it. I'm fucking buzzing for not even Friday. Like, I don't really care about the Friday, but the Saturday morning, that's really going to, like Pecco, in my view, if he has a good Saturday, he'll have a great Sunday. Do you know what I mean? If he has a mediocre one, then he's going to be really head scratching and pressure. But I can tell you for a fact, none of them are going to sleep well over the next week. None of them.
No.
You know, Martin is human, right? And he has a lead that he's defending, and he's seen Pecco, and he's like, I was never going to catch Marc Marquez. Marc did crash out.
Marc Marquez is going to sleep well. He has nothing to lose. He's going to be out in front. He's in the spotlight. He's going to be happy as a pig in shit.
Yep. And like, realistically,
and I'm sorry, I think he's going to do. I think he's going to do a hell of. He's one to reckon with next year.
I think he will be. I think it will just. The two bike thing is still something for me, is that the way the handling is going to change, and even if you see it, just the mindset changing of it. Now, for all we know, Jake, the way that the bike will handle could be just right up his alley, and he takes to it like a duck to water. There could be the other side of it, like, you know, that it's fucking pulling hen's teeth to get him out of it. But if he's got into a zone of riding at 23 and it's drastically changed, it will take him some time to adapt to it. And he will also find the struggle of where the factory team and Ducati struggle, right? And we've seen this up 10 times all this year. You know, like, I was reading an article during the weekend, they're like, Marc is ready to release his secret weapon to help him. So I read it, and it was like, Marc Marquez has factory data to help him with his setups and all of this. And you're like, well, yeah, of course he has. He's on the 23. You know what I mean? That's not a fucking secret fucking weapon. And this is where I do wonder, right? And you see it, like, in the first few races next year, they're on the 25 bike. The front tire is supposed to stay the same next year. It was different this year. It's supposed to stay the same next year. If it does, in my view, the 2024s will have an advantage big time for the first few races.
They had a new tire coming out. I kept hearing about it. The Michelin's going to have a new tire.
No, they've ditched the new tire. The riders hated it. So they've ditched it. So yeah. It for me, it's going to be pretty interesting. Like, I can't wait to see the boys go head to head. Can't fucking wait to see it. And I think if Marc does win it, people will be like, oh, it's this. But again, you know, he is one of the greatest riders ever to walk this planet, right? Yeah. I'll 100% never take that away from him. But also there is an evolution, do you know what I mean? And I think, is it Pecco? It might not be Pecco. Do you know what I mean? It could, for all we know, there's another mini Marquez out there that will come in and blow him the fuck out of it. And it's
I ever since they had this thing about the riders keep getting faster and faster. That's not true. Roberts and Spencer could beat Schwantz and Rainey and anybody that came after them. Okay, Schwantz, Kenny Roberts Sr. and Spencer could beat the raw speed was faster than Rossi.
True, but look, there you're in the blend of different eras and this, that, and the other, right? Which is fine, but like, if you look at the way Doohan or any of these ones rode their bike compared to the riding position that riders are now in, do you know what I mean? It is there's a massive evolution in the riding style, right? Saying that, I do get you. Like, it's actually impossible to turn around and say, I think Doohan would have beaten Rossi. Just safe, right?
A link. If you look at the times, what happened was there was a loss between where Doohan went out, and then Doohan never went against Rossi because Spencer and Roberts had raced literally against all the other guys, Rainey and Lawson, and always beat them by a second or over a second. Okay.
Yeah.
And they were always faster than Doohan's. I hate to say it, Doohan's overrated. Doohan didn't win until they left. But
you know what? But my point is, what I'm trying to make is like when you try to do a cross era thing, right? It is really, really hard. It would be.
The best you can do is that there's no.
But I think you're better off putting it in their time. Do you know what I mean? Because look, at the end of the day.
Oh, of course.
I think the riders nowadays are less afraid of the bikes than they were in those days.
Yes, you know I mean? I'll give you that. Yes,
and I think with the removal of that fear, the riders are a little bit
high sides that they always had.
Yeah, but like if you look at it, right, it's nearly okay. Back in the day, it was like 6 or 7 years of age. A child got his first fucking Pee-wee 50 and started riding. Do you know what I mean? Nowadays, you're looking at it and they're fucking just out of the womb, and they already have a fucking set of letters ready and a helmet. Do you know what I mean? And it's just they're bred for it. Like they are bred to be racers, crashing, all of this stuff, while they're aware of it and afraid of it. Like. You look at, like, even go back 10 years ago, people on the grid, you'd see them and they're very nervous and tense and this and that and the other. Nowadays, you look at it like, and it's like they're going fucking shopping. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I was just out for a fucking leisurely stroll, like 30 seconds.
Myself, because I can just see pulling the kid out and smack him on the ass in the air, and a little bitty airbag goes poof.
yeah, exactly. And it's just like, but like for me, it's just. That's just the evolution of it, right? And these guys are just walking around, not necessarily a care in the world, except their only care is to get the fastest parts for the fastest bike. And you know, you couldn't necessarily talk about putting Freddie Spencer up against Mick Doohan versus Rossi versus Marquez versus Pecco. You know. It's all too different. Like if for example, put Mick Doohan on a 24 Ducati, he couldn't ride the fucking thing. He could not ride the fucking thing to save his life.
Yeah.
Put Pecco on a 500cc 2-stroke. He couldn't fucking ride it to save his life. Like he'd be trying to ride over the fucking front end of that, right? And the fucking bike would shoot him straight into fucking the moon. Do you know what I mean? It would just be like,
but Spencer beat by his own accord. Spencer. The Casey Stoner could not beat Freddie Spencer at the Honda track.
Yeah, and look, that's fair enough. But again, it's just different riding styles for different eras. You're like, you put it on the same bike, and you're like, okay,
they're on the same bike. They're on the same.
No,
bike.
but that's what I mean. It's just like I can guarantee you put a MotoGP rider on a standard 600 compared to someone who's used to a normal 600, and they'd be like, what the fuck is going on here? Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember from my days of go-karting, right? I used to love, I raced professional go-kart, right? And I would always wanted to go-kart racing with my buddies, but I could never, ever bring myself go-kart racing with my buddies. Do you know, like the slow fucking higher carts. Do you know what I mean? I did it once, right? And I was going down the straight and I was like, this thing doesn't handle, there's no fucking brakes, this fucking steering is wrong. And it was just like, and it was actually the most painful half an hour of my fucking life, because all I did was moan and bitch and complain. And it's just like thing, right? So I was never really going to my limit. I was more distracted about what the fuck is going on here.
But it wasn't going in.
Huh?
But it wasn't doing.
It was more
what it wasn't doing. Yeah.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I can never measure a rider, even on a 600 or something like this, because when you step over your race bike and you go racing, it's a different fucking connection. You know what she's going to do for 99% of the time. Like, the bike will fucking launch you to the moon, right? And this is guaranteed, right? A bike racer will be launched to the moon off his bike, right? And he will turn around, instead of going, that's a stupid fucking bike, I did something. they'll blame themselves. Do you know what I mean? As if like the bike is like the holy grail, and I'm very sorry for fucking thing. So for me, when I look at how I compare riders, I can't compare them across it. I was like, their time, that was it. They were the fastest at that time. I would disagree though. Coming up now, I think the ride we have more riders in touch with each other. Like I was counting on Friday practice, the top 14 or 15 were within a second of each other. Like that's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And like you're looking at it and you're like 14 riders within a second, right?
I was just amazed. You know another thing amazing? When they go from dry and then they go to the rain, right?
Yeah.
And even when they change, you don't get to dry in the rain all the time. It's few and far between. Yet they're still keeping that thing within a tenth of a second, right? One lap after lap after lap after lap, like the metronome. You know, you're like, how the hell do they do that? It's not like they're practicing on the rain either, you know?
They're not. And look, that's where baiting around the track on a 600 comes in, right? Is that you're used to those conditions, and then when it gets into races, like I remember when I was racing in the karts, like my dad didn't have a lot of money when I was racing, and you know we raced with what we had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I go testing and it would start to rain, he wouldn't put a set of wet fucking tires on my go-kart. Hell fucking no. It was slicks. And he was like, fucking go sort it out. What's the fastest lap that you can do in the wet? Do you know what I mean? So I would have to go and find my line, which obviously is always around the high line, okay, in corners, because you don't want to go into the middle of the apex of the corner where all the rubber is, that you'll just skid straight off the road. Mm-hmm. But then, when we were at a race weekend and it rained, and I bolted on the wets, all of a sudden, I had fucking grip, boy. And I was scooting around the fucking outside of that track. Do you know what I mean? Like a fucking... I won't say it. But anyway, you know what I mean? Like, for me, when I was racing, the wet... What it taught me was one or two things. One, obviously, we didn't have enough money to always be fucking burning money thing. And two was, like, when it was your time to shine... was the wet conditions, because I didn't have the money to have the best engines and the best equipment and all of this. But as soon as the rain came, it leveled anything. You know, you didn't want to have that extra horsepower. You didn't want to have, like, I remember my engine bill for a season was £1,800, right? That was my thing. I know fellas that I was lining up next to, and the carburetor on their cart, cost $5,000. Do you know what I mean? And they had 2 engines a weekend, you know, full strip rebuild after each race weekend. It cost a fucking $2,000 or $3,000. All of this stuff, like fucking crazy. Like coming in, and this is no word of a lie. I used to race against people coming in with a fucking Arctic 40-foot lorry, big fucking awnings, and there I was, myself and my missus, with a Ford Fiesta car, small little Ford Fiesta, and a little fucking pop-up tent. And we used to sleep in the back of the car because we fucking nothing when I was racing. And we'd go out on a Sunday and we'd fucking beat the boys with their own tires that I would salvage out of the skip. Simple as that. And I did that 3 times. 3 Irish championships. So, you know, it's just one of the things. Would I ever be considered as a great? Nope. So there was fellas fucking far, far better than me. But, you know, at the end of the day, when it rained, it was my time to shine. I mean, that was bred into me by my dad. And it's the same with these fuckers as well, as that they can just put on that switch. Do you know what I mean? But there's fellas that can put on the switch different. Like Jack Miller is one of those fellas. When it rains, you immediately go, Jack's in with a chance here. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, and it's really because he just doesn't give a shit. But anyway,
I thought he was going to come up. I thought he was going to come up during the race too.
I was gutted he didn't get the podium. I was delighted for Pecco, but I was gutted for Jack that he didn't get it. But saying that, it was a really...
How are you calling the next weekend?
Oh, it has to be Pecco. Has to be.
Really?
I think so. I think he's in the nothing to lose area now. Do you know what I mean? So I think it has to be Pecco. It should be Martin. I just don't know. Yeah, I think it has to be Pecco, and I think Pecco's pretty clear on that too. That it has to be him. Mark is the.
I'm gonna go Mark. You know that? I'm gonna go Mark. I'm gonna go Mark Marquez. Mark Marquez, Martin, and then third would be Pecco.
I don't know. I think Martin is going to have a bit of squeaky bum. I think he's going to be riding tight. I think, because this is his first
riding tight. You can see he is now gone Mr. Conservative. Do you hear him after the race?
Yeah. Like he knows he was lucky to get away with that. I'm just actually looking at the swing arm, and this is why I look really weird. I'm just looking at this. Thanks. I'm looking at the rear swing arm of Marc Marquez. I wonder, is Pecco running a 23 swing arm, or is Marc running the 24? I have a really nice picture, actually. I'll share it with you. You can see the difference in the linkages, actually, for the ride height device in the 23 and the 24. It's actually really interesting. Sorry, I get distracted easily, I know.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's I've never actually seen that before, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, I think it has to be Pecco. And like I would genuinely love, and it's not to be a Pecco fan, but I would genuinely love for the championship to go down to the wire to the last race of the season and let it mano a mano. If it's going down to the last race of the season, I would probably reckon that it's going to be Jorge Martin, because he likes Valencia. Pecco doesn't really get on with it. And I can confirm also that Bastianini's front ride height was not down at the start of the race. Just looking at some pictures of it there, you can see his ride height device is about 4 inches higher on it. Also, kind of noted, Miller has not got any of the new aero on KTM. So yeah, interesting. Or the new exhaust. Anyway, sorry, pictures just came in from the race as we were shooting. So I think next weekend it is actually too hard to call it, really. Like Mark will be thereabouts, but then if it's dry, there's a number of acceleration zones where the 24 will just pull away. So I would expect Mark to be in a little bit of trouble keeping with them. And look, let's be fair. If it didn't rain today, Mark was 3rd or 4th place. He wasn't going to challenge the boys. There wasn't a fucking hope in us. Do you know what I mean? He had nothing for them, especially coming out of turn 1 and out of turn 1 and turn 2. Do you know what I mean? He had absolutely fuck all for them. So look, it will be interesting. If you look at Sepang, you have the back straight, the front, so start finish straight, through the squiggly bit, and then that's
right. Sepang does have a long straight, doesn't it?
It has 2 of them, 2 hard acceleration zones. Yamaha's fuck.
Well, I was thinking it was a tight track, but anyhow.
Yeah, no. So look, I would expect the 24s to be 2 or 3 tenths easily ahead, especially just out on those points of load. But
by the way, did you notice something strange? This is totally off wall, and this goes with boxing and sport figures in general. If you look at Quartararo, you can tell how much, if he's going to be out there at 110%. You can tell if he's pissed off and what kind of mood he's in, and how much effort he's putting in by you know why? His hair. You say, what the hell am I talking about? When he's really going 110%, he stops screwing with his hair, making it 5 different colors, and what kind of shirt he has, and what kind of woke bullshit he has, his clothing wear, or the hell his fashion thing is. He has a regular haircut. He's going in there. He's trying, and he's trying hard. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
You see him coming in there looking like some fairy, forget it. He's like, nah, I don't want to be here.
He's worried.
That's a big thing with fighters too. If they change their, you know, they're wearing a beard or they're like, you know, something cut in the side of their head, forget it. They're done.
Well, there you have it. And on that bombshell, we will leave it off for this week. Thank you everyone for joining. There are 3 weeks here on a bounce. Are nearly there. Championship is nearly there. Oh my God. Roll on Saturday and Sunday.
You look at it, it is true.
Yeah, it's nearly there. Who are we going to go? Which way is it going? Is it going to go on? Is the number one going to be on a Ducati or Aprilia next season?
No, I think it's going to be on their Aprilia. The odds are, if you're a betting man, you say that.
Yeah, I was always shit at betting though. Anyway, we'll see everyone again next week. Have a good one. Ciao for now.